Good evening, this is Brass Tacks. I'm Zaka Jacob. There is a proposal before the Karnataka government to introduce 4% quota for Muslims in government contracts, public work contracts. Now, these normally involve building roads, drains, parks, other public infrastructure which is used by the public. Now, to be sure, there is such a quota for SC/STs as well as for OBCs in the award of public work contracts. Now the proposal before the Siddaramaiah government, and they could bring this in the form of a bill in the winter session of the Assembly there, is whether or not to extend this as a subcategory for 4% for award of public works contracts to Muslim contractors. Now the Chief Minister for his part has said, while there is such a demand from a certain section of people, no such proposal is being actively considered by his government. That is what Siddaramaiah has said on the face of it. Now the question is, one can understand to some extent, no doubt, you need quotas for higher education, maybe even some extent quotas for jobs, government jobs. But how is religion a qualification or a criterion to build a road or to build a park or to build a drain? Does it not completely suspend logic if the Karnataka government indeed were to go ahead and actively consider the proposal of 4% quota for award of contracts for public works? The Chief Minister says no, but there is a section within society which is putting pressure on him to bring such a proposal forth. Forget about whether or not it sees the light of day. The very fact that such an idea is being talked about in such a bizarre and frankly illogical way, that is something that is worth questioning. We will put that to our panelists through the course of this program. But first, the story of how this thing is blowing up in Karnataka, whether there would be a 4% quota for Muslims in the award of public works contracts.
दिया है ना पाकिस्तान, भारत के अंदर पाकिस्तान बनाने के लिए हम मौका नहीं देंगे। भारत में संविधान चलेगा, शरिया नहीं चलेगा।
Aspiring to get some opportunity is not a sin, but our government has not yet decided anything. We have taken the representation, we have said we'll examine it. So if representation also becomes a sin, and receiving it and asking them to ask, okay, we'll examine it also becomes a sin. That's not a decision.
All right, let's open this up to our guests. Ajay Alok is National Spokesperson of the BJP. Brijesh Kalappa, Senior Advocate, joining us. Rashid Kidwai, Senior Journalist. And Rashmi Samant, Human Rights Activist, is also joining us. Brijesh, let me start with you first. I'm not even getting into the legality of it, since you're a Supreme Court advocate. I mean, the Constitution explicitly disallows any religion-based quota. But I'm just looking at the common sense of it, the logic of it. Why should religion be a criteria for deciding which contractor gets a public works contract to build roads or parks or drains or bridges? I mean, how is that even a qualification? It is not a criteria of engineering skill or, ability to raise capital, nothing. I mean, why should religion be a criteria at all?
Zaka, just to I don't represent the Karnataka government, nor do I represent the Congress party. But just to give you a perspective, 43% of all government contracts go to certain communities, which is the SC/ST community, which is 24%. The OBCs is of category 1, 4%, and of 2As, 15%, right? So, as to the best of my knowledge, and after having read the Sachar committee report in great detail, it is obvious that the one community which is not represented in government, whether in terms of government jobs or in terms of other facilities, is the Muslim community, and they are the one community in India which kind of does business, small businesses, and all this. So I think this must
But
be the
Brajesh,
rationale.
like I said at the top, I can understand for socially, economically backward sections of society some amount of reservation in higher education. It's a means to try and help them, level up the playing field. But in award of government contracts, I mean, why should that be a criteria? Your criteria should be whether you have good engineers building those roads, whether you have solid plans, whether you're using good construction material. Those should be the criteria, not whether you are Hindu or Muslim or Christian. It beggars belief.
No, I've already said, Zakat, that there is already reservation to the extent of 43% in terms of government contracts. This is not that, we are reinventing the wheel, right? So
Okay.
first is that there is already a system in place where government contracts are given to certain communities. And the one community which, has the maximum number of self-employed people appears to be the Muslim community. Right?
Okay.
So they have made a representation. To the best of my information, I don't think the government of Karnataka has taken any decision in this regard.
That I said
Right?
again at the top.
But
The Chief Minister has said on record, no such proposal is under active consideration. Yes, there is a demand from a certain section of society, but no such proposal is under active consideration. But I'm coming back. So Ajay Alok, please respond. Brajesh has been saying, and he's right, as per quota for government contracts, not just in Karnataka, but in other states as well. But in the Karnataka example, I can cite this. 24.1% of public works contracts, the caveat being it should be public works under 50 lakh rupees, are reserved for SC/ST contractors. 15% is reserved for category 2A OBC contractors. Again, it should be public works less than 50 lakh rupees. And similarly, 4% is reserved for category 1 OBC contractors. Now, Brajesh's logic is that if you're already reserving for SC/STs and OBCs, why not reserve 4% for Muslims too, who are socially and economically backward, who may, pass through the eligibility criteria to build these public works?
First of all, this is a naked appeasement, what is being done.
Mr. Alok, I think your video has frozen. Let's try and re-establish the connection with Ajay Alok. Yeah, go ahead. I can hear you now. Yeah.
Yeah, first of all, this is a naked appeasement, which is evident to everyone. It might be a demand and the proposal is not there, but the government is actively considering to make it as a proposal and to get it in the assembly. They have already done it in the past as far as job goes, where jobs of OBC were taken and given to Muslims. That is already pending in the court, the 4%. Now, this is when coming, Zaka, when we have to understand that in Muslims also there are communities which are registered with the central government and the state government, which falls under the category of OBC and category of SC and SC. So why make a separate 4% for Muslims only? If you have a quota for OBC and SC and SC, you can already, there's a list of Muslim communities who are in OBCs. So you can give it to them. But this is nothing else 4%. This is plain and naked appeasement, and they want to make it an issue in Maharashtra, Jharkhand, everywhere. That's why this kind of proposal, amendment, and this kind of discussion has taken place.
No, Ajay Alok comes from Bihar, so he knows. In Bihar, for example, the extremely backward sections, certain sections of Muslim community are already included, either in OBC or in EBC or in some cases. Yeah.
Even in the central government list, they are included. Why this separate 4% for Muslim community? Why in the name of community? When there is already a provision for giving it in terms of OBC and SC and SC, why a community separate religion? Our constitution does not allow any preference over the religion. This is absolutely unconstitutional and it is going to be challenged in the court. And it's not going to stand. We all know that. This is just to create a buzz.
So, Rashid Kidwai, again, it doesn't stand the test of law because the constitution is explicitly clear. You can't have quotas based on religion. The instances, even in the case of government jobs or higher education, I think there was an instance in Telangana, there was an instance in Andhra Pradesh, and there was an instance in Karnataka where this quota was challenged, went all the way up to the Supreme Court, and the Supreme Court struck it down. So, my point is, if there is legal precedent, then why is such a thing, forget about the logic now. I started off with the logic of why should there be, religion as a criteria for awarding of public works contracts. Forget about that. But even the legality of it, is on very shaky ground.
So Zaka, I think that is where the caste census, gains currency. There should be caste census, and the socio-economic condition of various sections of society should become, visible. We should know what it is all about. The quota in India is generally highly politicized. Modi government started giving 10% quota reservation for general category people also, and that was welcomed by all sections of society. Somebody can question what is the logic of giving quota to general caste. As you yourself were citing, even in Karnataka, government was giving 4% quota. BJP government till 4 years when they were in power, they kept giving quota to Muslims as the backward classes in jobs, etc. And only after fourth year, when the election became this thing, they struck it out. So the governments lack transparency. To my mind, Zaka, this is a kind of affirmative action, and we should not be very disturbed about it, because after all, Muslims are also bona fide citizens of the country. They are contributing to GDP.
Ajay Alok's point, which I think is a fair
Yes.
point, in Uttar Pradesh, in Bihar, you have quotas for Muslims within the wider ambit of OBCs, some of them even in SC/ST. So now my point is, why do you need separately a quota that's outside of the ambit of OBCs and SC/STs just for the Muslim community? Tomorrow the Christians will ask that, the Sikhs will ask that,
Yeah, so
other religions will start asking that.
Dalit Christians have quota. Dalit Christians also have quota. Zaka, I don't.
No, but that's within the
understand
ambit of
why
the
he's saying
15%.
that
That is within
appeasement.
the ambit of 15% reservation for SCs, not outside of it.
So it is for the government, it is for government of Karnataka to justify, as you yourself were reading it out. There are various, caste and subgroups who are getting this kind of contractual thing. It is for the government to fight it out. But what I'm saying is, I am surprised by the opposition and the kind of thing is saying, what is that, appeasement in this? If 4% contract is going to people who are eligible, who fulfill the criteria, just like several other sections of society, why? Why otherwise Muslims?
Rashid, like I said, the idea of religion-based quota is unconstitutional. It is antithetical to the idea of our constitution, number one. Antithetical to the idea of reservation itself, number one. Number two, even on the socio-economic backward criteria, there are already reservations for Muslims, backward Muslims, within either OBC or even within the SC categorization. But be that as it may, let me bring in Rashmi Sawant. Rashmi Sawant, the arguments for, at least in the case of Karnataka, the argument for giving this, the political argument for giving this could be that this could lead to a further consolidation of the Ahinda plus grouping, which of course is a big vote bank for the Chief Minister. It's a bid to send a signal to backward communities within the Muslims. This could potentially address whatever perceived historical disparities there are for groups of Muslims who may have been underprivileged historically. The underrepresented groups could get adequate resources, and it could serve whatever the unique needs of these communities are. As Brijesh said a moment ago, if you're doing it for OBCs and SCs, STs, why should you single out Muslims? How would you respond to these points that have been put forth by advocates who are pushing for quota for Muslims in award of public works contracts?
Well, Zaka, firstly, I'd like to talk from the perspective of Karnataka. And I think a lot of learned gentlemen here don't know how things are done in Karnataka. The National Commission for Backward Classes, the NCBC, in 2024 April, confirmed that all castes and communities of Muslims in Karnataka have been included in the list of backward classes for granting reservation, be it in employment, educational institutions, or any provisions of the state government. So all of the Muslims in Karnataka, all communities come under the OBC list, which has caused a lot of problems within the community. But that put aside, they're already counted in what is being asked by these so-called activists and advocates. Secondly, we see that the Congress government, ever since coming to power, has been pushing all sorts of schemes, from dropping cases against PFI activists who attacked a police station, to sending notices to farmers across North Karnataka over the Waqf Board Act, asking them to vacate their farmlands. So we see sweeping, large-scale measures being put in place, a lot of activities going on, which is poised towards advantaging one religious community and disadvantaging another religious community. And this comes in direct correlation to the vote bank that the Congress enjoys in the state of Karnataka. So this is nothing but vote bank politics. Because if they wanted to stand for social justice, then all the Muslim communities in Karnataka are already counted as OBC and are already enjoying the sort of privileges that OBCs do enjoy in terms of allotment of government contracts.
So,
And
I think
furthering
Rashmi has a
this,
point.
it's just-
Brajesh,
Yeah.
look at the overall perspective. Cases against PFI, and these are heinous crimes, by the way, are getting dropped left, right, and center. We had this curious case in Bijapura where you had a bunch of farmers, I think about 40 odd farmers, who were saying that suddenly out of nowhere, Waqf is coming in claiming our land. You had this absolutely bizarre situation where a minister of the Siddaramaiah government is caught on video threatening public officials there, and 2 days later, notices are sent to these 40 odd farmers saying that Waqf is claiming your land. A decision or a move, may I say, which publicly Mr. Krishna Bairegowda had to come out and backtrack. The government had to backtrack. So now my point is, why is this happening? This is the overall perspective of why all of this is happening.
See, Zaka, I have already given you the caveat that I don't represent the Congress party, I don't represent the
Fair
government.
enough.
But I used to be legal advisor to the Chief Minister at the relevant point in time Ms. Samant is speaking about. And I can tell you that as far as the withdrawal of cases against so-called PFI members, equally cases were withdrawn against RSS members. Because the idea was that they were young people. The idea is not to criminalize these young people. Therefore, all cases of all nature, of a political nature, were withdrawn both against the RSS and the PFI. So this is something to my information and knowledge, and therefore I'm speaking about it. In regard to the Waqf issue has been gaining ground only after elections. By-elections have been announced in Karnataka. There are 3 by-elections, and the first, the so-called whistleblower happens to be a BJP worker, and and ultimately the government has already said that we are not proceeding with these notices. We don't know what the truth of the matter is. In any event, these are all election subjects, and I don't think this debate ought to kind of be an election subject. This should not be kind of fodder for an election. And I think it's an intellectual debate, and it should remain an intellectual debate.
No, so Rajesh, the reason why this wider, broader context was brought in is people are putting 2 and 2 together. Whether it is, are you saying that DJ Halli and KG Halli, the riots that happened, people need to be pardoned? They should go through the ringer, they should go through the legal process. Why should they be pardoned?
No, KG Halli and DJ Halli, to the best of my information, nobody has been pardoned. This is an earlier instance, which my friend is speaking about, and this is an earlier instance. KJ Halli, DJ Halli, nothing has happened so far.
Even in the Waqf story, the 40-odd farmers who had that land for generations suddenly out of the blue find that there is this third entity that's coming in claiming their land as their own, and the government had to backtrack on that because of the public backlash.
No, that's the reason I'm saying that, oftentimes 2 plus 2 is not 4, it becomes 22. So I don't think, civilized intellectual debate that there should be room for that.
Okay, so
that's the reason I'm making this clarification.
Let me ask Ajay Alok of the BJP. The BJP has been saying from leader after leader that the reason why Rahul Gandhi keeps talking about changing the 50% cap on quotas is they want to give it to Muslims. Nowhere has Mr. Gandhi said that he is going to change the quota cap of 50% to give it to Muslims. So they are accusing you of spreading fake news.
It's not a matter of accusing us of spreading fake news. You can check it on records. Rajiv Gandhi in Lok Sabha 1990, when he was opposing Mandal Commission, when he clearly said that the OBC should not be given reservation, he mentioned at length for about 20 minutes in the parliament regarding Muslim and why do they need it. He clearly said that almost 80-85% Muslims in this country are backward and they need special help. But now at the cost of OBC, he wanted to give it to Muslims. And that's what Rashmi just now said, that all the Muslims in Karnataka have been included in the OBC list, to which the National Commission for OBC, they have raised an objection and they have asked for an undertaking from Karnataka government. This is also going to get legal. Now, as far as Brajesh said, this cannot be a logic that the cases against PFI activists were dropped and cases against RSS were dropped. If anybody is accused of inciting a riot or committing a terrorist activity, cases cannot be dropped. This is what Mulayam Singh has done in the UP when Lucknow High Court reprimanded him, when he dropped charges against any terrorists and let them go free. This is what is happening in Karnataka. The PA5 reading round has started there, and they are recruiting new terrorists under the nose of the government, under the protection of the government. That's why I said in the opening statement, this is nothing but naked appeasement. And they are ready to do it, and they are ready to do it across the country. In the Telangana, similar thing is happening. So
Brajesh, respond, and then I'll get Rashid into the conversation. Brajesh, yeah, I mean, this is akin to what Lalu Yadav has been doing. This is akin to what Mulayam Singh Yadav has been doing. I mean, why should anybody be pardoned? A riot is a riot is a riot.
No, that's okay. I mean, if Ajay Alok today wants to take a stand that a young RSS worker who is completely misguided and he should remain in jail for some action which he has been misled into doing, well, that's his prerogative. I don't want to make a comment on it. But I only happen to, at that point in time, say that now if there is a 4% reservation which is being offered to the Muslims, ultimately what is the number of Muslims in Karnataka? It's 12%. So ultimately 4% is far less than the 12% which actually the Muslims have in Karnataka. So therefore, ultimately,
by that logic, Hindu population in Karnataka is over 80%. Nobody's asking for 80% reservation.
No, that's why. But this section, even under the Rangnath Mishra Commission and even under the Sachar Committee report, this section is a very deprived section. Now, if somebody wants to make an issue of a completely deprived section, and then ultimately what do you do with the Muslim community? You criminalize them. If you don't give them opportunities, what do you do? What do they have to do? They have to resort to crime.
No. Come on. Again, that's like saying, like I said, Hindu population in this country is close to 80%. Are you saying that, reservation is being catered to the tune of 80% in this country? No. And just because it's not catered to the proportion of population. One second, Brajesh, let me finish. Just because it's not catered to the proportion of population, everybody ends up becoming a criminal. Come on, that's not logical. But let me get the national picture on this, Rashid Gidwai. Now, Brajesh says all of this is being done for elections. There are by-polls in Karnataka, there are polls in Maharashtra, polls in Jharkhand, etc. BJP has to polarize, therefore they are doing this. This is what the Prime Minister today in the campaign trail said, and I quote, Congress is eliminating identity of OBCs, dividing them into castes. With smaller groups, you will have to stay vigilant over divisive tactics and hidden agenda of breaking and destroying the nation. Hum ek hai to safe hai. Mr. Amit Shah, Home Minister, campaigning again in Maharashtra today, said in Ambedkar's constitution there is no provision for quota based on religion. Congress intends to cut reservation of SCs, STs, OBCs and give it to Muslims. Is it acceptable to the people of Maharashtra? Now, please respond as to this is being asked in state after state, that Congress and Rahul Gandhi is talking about, doing away with the cap of 50% for reservations in this country because they want to take it and give it to the Muslims. This whole batenge to katenge is what? It comes down to you're taking away someone's share and giving it to somebody else.
So, Zaka, when we say batenge to katenge, who are we talking about? Are we talking about the majority community? Are we talking about nation as a whole? Are we talking about all communities? Are we talking about the majority community? All these things are, rigged in politics. And of course, there is a sort of, communal flavor to it, for and against, both ways. We must understand that Muslims are not only they are bona fide citizens, they are law abiding, they pay GST, they are part of that, the India's growth success story. Governments tend to take up, affirmative action whenever a community or a section of people are not doing well. So therefore, there is nothing wrong in it. Why do we want to politicize, say that, as if
why then did the Constitution, why then did the framers of the Constitution, the founding fathers, explicitly say that quota should not be based on religion?
Framers of Constitution had said that, the quota should be only for 10 years. Why is it being, not come under review?
One does not justify the other.
Why the BJP is not saying
one does not justify the other.
What is the logic of, somebody can argue, what is the logic of, a general category quota?
No. Again, it's a bit misleading to say it's general category quota. It's called an EWS quota.
Yeah.
It's for those people who are economically weaker section. I think it's 8 lakh rupees per annum. So it's a bit misleading to say it's general category.
No. Mr.
It's general category, but for those who are economically weaker, EWS.
Please. Allow me. Zaka, when we talk about general category, are you and me included in it?
No, because you and I are not economically weaker, no.
No. I'm saying if suppose somebody is a weaker, then that part is not. It is for the majority community.
No, it
So
is for
nobody is
anyone.
saying
No,
it's
no, no, no,
communal.
no. Again, misleading. It's not for the majority community. It's for anyone who is economically weaker, whose family
So the
earns
Muslims
less
and
than one
Christians are
second,
not part of
Rashid,
it.
come on.
Are
No,
you
no,
saying-
no, no,
are you
no,
saying
no, no,
Muslims and Christians are not part of it?
let me please clarify for our viewers. EWS quota, whether you're Hindu, Muslim, Christian, whatever you can apply for, as long as you can show that your family income is less than 8 lakh rupees per annum. Ajay Alok, correct me if I'm wrong. This is my understanding.
So then
You're absolutely
religion
right,
is not a
Raka.
difference.
EWS section is not only meant for general class; it's meant for every class. Even Muslims can claim it.
Yep.
But I just aghast at the I mean, from so much learned journalists and lawyers, I'm thinking, I'm listening that yes, 4% Muslim quota should be given in this country. So let's do it. Ask Rahul Gandhi to bring a bill in the parliament, present it in front of the people, the whole country knows that yes, Congress party wants to give quota. That's what we are saying. You claim it nicely and you suggest Rahul Gandhi to get a bill in the parliament in the coming winter session, starting from 25th November, that there should be a quota for Muslims. Why he is afraid and why he is trying to do things from the back door, like what he did in Karnataka by including all Muslims in the OBC list. This is the problem. This is the naked appeasement they want to do. That's what Rajiv Gandhi said in 1990.
Even if all Muslims are there, it's going to be only 4% quota.
They have not left any stone unturned in making this constitution, our constitution, right from the beginning, into an Islamic constitution. There are multiple instances like that.
No.
It's just short announcement.
You know,
And
when Indira Gandhi was Prime Minister, Rashid knows this, the whole slogan at that time was not Jat par, na Paat par. Today, Indira Gandhi's grandson wants to abolish 50% quota. Forget about the fact. I mean, I'm not even getting into the legality of it. It's a 9-judge bench, constitutional bench in the Indira Sani judgment that gave that 50% cap. You are going against the wisdom of a 9-judge constitutional bench to break that cap. Well, go ahead. I don't know if it will stand the test of law, but if that is your political pitch to the vast majority of this country, then let the country decide. But Rashmi, as I come to the concluding part of this debate, the argument by people like Brajesh and Rashid are, all of this is being brought forth ultimately to win elections. The BJP has no other game in town. The only game that they have is polarization. Even in Karnataka, look at this whole Waqf thing is being done to influence the Channapatla by-poll, the Shivgavi by-poll and so on.
Absolutely, Zaka. And at the receiving end are, common citizens. They are innocent citizens. So I think it is absolutely heartbreaking to see innocent citizens suffer at the cost of the vote bank politics that Karnataka is doing. Initially, they tried the freebie politics and now it's turned the entire state bankrupt. So we are in debt now. And what they're doing with this, sort of appeasement politics is only going to divide our community more. It is only going to flare up more tensions between communities, because the minute you start giving preferential treatment to one community over the other, it flares tensions. And that is why our founding fathers were against the idea of religion-based, reservation. That was the main issue why they wanted a secular state where all religions had equal status.
But Brajesh, everyone is for social justice. Nobody is saying standing against social justice. Why then is the Karnataka government not releasing the findings of the caste census that was issued when Siddaramaiah was chief minister earlier? I mean, the report is lying with the chief minister's office. Why is he not making it public? In fact, many ministers within the Congress government themselves don't want it made public. Why?
Deputy CM does not want it.
Yeah. I think I've clarified, Zaka, that I don't represent the Congress.
No, I know that. I know that. Every answer of yours has started with that. But I'm asking as a matter of principle.
Personally speaking, I'm for it. I think that the caste census ought to be released. And also, further, one more point, that in terms of UP, Madhya Pradesh, Assam, Manipur, Andhra Pradesh and Bihar, which are all BJP-ruled states, there is a 4% quota for Muslims. Of course, under the OBC category for reservation. So I don't think, honestly, this is an issue which actually carries, because it's an argument of twiddle-dee, twiddle-dum. Because you don't put them under the community category, you put them under the caste category. Ultimately, it's really essentially the same thing, right? One way or another. But ultimately, since the constitution makers have said that, look, you can't have reservation based on religion, then you are going to
No. It's not. It's not the same thing. It's not the same
It
thing.
is
It's not. No.
it
I'll
is
tell you what.
absolutely
I'll
the
tell
same.
you what the difference is. It's not a case of Tweedledee and Tweedledum. I'll tell
No,
you what.
that's-
No. I'll
it's-
tell you.
it's
I'll tell you. I'll tell you
100%
what.
a case of Tweedledee,
Sir,
Tweedledum.
listen to me now. Listen to me. I'll tell you what the difference
But
is.
that's okay.
When you
because see, as a lawyer, I'm trained to be nitpicking.
No,
and
no,
if you want
it's-
to make a very intellectual argument
No,
to your
no,
audience,
it's-
you're most welcome.
No,
to.
it is
but
not.
ultimately
It is
it's a-
not
It's a
nitpicking.
case of Tweedledee, Tweedledum.
No. Let me explain why it's not a case of Tweedledee, Tweedledum. Why it's not a case of nitpicking, because when you have a separate quota of 4% for Muslims, then that means the fundamental criteria is that you have to be Muslim to avail that quota. Whereas when it is under the 27% OBC or under the 15% SC category, then just by virtue of you being Muslim does not guarantee you that reservation under those quotas. You still have to fight for that under the larger ambit of OBCs. There are, tens of millions of OBCs who are fighting for the limited number of jobs or limited number of seats in educational institutions. Whereas, when there is a 4% explicit quota for Muslims, none of these 27% OBCs can avail that quota in that 4%. Whereas the opposite is true. If you are Muslim and backward, you can claim, but you can claim within the larger ambit of OBC. Whereas here,
Effectively,
the
Zaka,
entry
you
criteria,
explained-
the first entry criteria that
Zaka,
needs to
you
be met is that you have to be
explained that there is no
Muslim.
difference.
If you are not Muslim, you cannot claim that 4% quota because it's explicitly for Muslims who are backward. That is a significant difference. It's not nitpicking.
No, it's
They
100%
understand
a
all
case
the
of nitpicking. There is absolutely no difference between the two.
Sir,
I mean,
sir,
in effect, of
come
course,
on.
of course, to
Both
explain it, it's a
both
way-
in
it's there's a
mathematics
difference,
and
but
in
effect, there is no
legal
difference.
terms, it's substantially different. It's substantively different.
Okay.
Let's anyway not get diverted by that. Ajay, Alok, the point is that as Brajesh said, this quota for Muslims within the wider ambit of OBCs is there in Maharashtra, it's there in Bihar, it's there in Uttar Pradesh. BJP is ruling in all of these states. It was there even in Karnataka till Mr. Bommai's government changed it in 2022. So then why are you crying foul?
We are not crying foul. We are just saying on the basis of constitution, this country is not going to be running on the Sharia. It's going to be run on constitution. Samvidhan nahi chalega. And these people keep on showing Samvidhan every day. Now where the Samvidhan is gone? Does our constitution say that we can have quota on the basis of religion? Samvidhan is only for convenience of Rahul Gandhi. And I'm challenging all of them that yes, if you have the guts, get a bill in the winter session itself that yes, you want Muslim quota to be introduced. Let's have a discussion. Let the country know your intention. Na? That's most important.
Okay.
Only by mere we saying that you do naked appeasement, let the country know that yes, you do naked appeasement and you are proud of it.
Okay, we'll leave it at that. Let's see how this plays out, both in Maharashtra, in Jharkhand, possibly even in the bypolls in Karnataka. But I think it's very clear that this whole conversation around reservation, quotas, I'm very clear in my mind. The framers of the Constitution did not have the idea of quotas based on religion for a very solid reason. Because we are even today a country that believes in unity in diversity. We're a country that believes in, as this government says, sabka saath, sabka vikas. You cannot have, breaking up people on the basis of religion and giving certain communities, socially and educationally backward as they may be, giving them a leg up just because the entry criteria happens to be religion based. So I think I'm firm in my mind that the makers of the Constitution were very clear that this country should not have reservations based on religion as a criteria.